All right, I got 7:30, and I think everybody's still on. Mike, Dwayne, Rick, Chuck, Wade, and Bob. All right, everybody's still on. So at 7:30, we will call this meeting of July 27th to order, and I'll ask everyone to stand tonight and join me in prayer with the Our Father and then the Pledge of Allegiance. Our Father,
Earth and heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, and will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thy kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
forever. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Brian, I think you're still on there. Roll call, please.
Cosgray,
Present.
Foreman,
Present.
Hamilton. I see Hamilton. Hamilton,
Present.
Hankinson,
Present.
Keller,
Present.
Muller.
Present.
All right, all present, and special thanks to Dwayne for joining us from vacation. First item tonight is approval of the July 13th minutes.
Well, we have 4 that's got to have sponsors. I see that.
Well, no, first item is the approval of the last meeting of minutes, and then we'll do the agenda.
Okay. Yeah.
Are you talking about, was there a problem on the
Yeah,
minutes?
never mind. Yeah, I got ahead of you.
I've read them. I make a motion we approve the minutes as written. I'll second it.
All right, motion and second. Any further discussion on that?
Who seconded it?
Moeller. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Cosgray,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Hankinson,
Abstain.
Keller,
Yes.
and Muller.
Yep.
All right, 5-0, 1 abstention. Minutes will be approved as written. Moving on to tonight's agenda, there's a couple of amendments. Ordinances 22 through 24 will need a sponsor. In the second reading, ordinance 2020-19 has a sponsor, that's Keller. But as I said, 2020 through 24 will need a sponsor. This is the bond legislation, so probably makes sense that the same person sponsor them all.
Well, it came out of finance, didn't it?
Yeah, we talked about it first in finance.
I don't have no problem. I'll sponsor it since nobody's speaking up.
All right, thank you,
Keller.
Chuck.
Brad, we do need one correction also. We have resolution 2020-20, which was the original resolution of necessity. And that's still on the, that's on for a second reading technically tonight. So, but it's not, it doesn't appear on the agenda.
Oh, okay, good catch.
It's obsolete, quite frankly, because of the ordinances, but it's still, it's something that needs to be addressed. So included on the agenda.
So we'll add that to the agenda as well.
But 2020 was Dwayne.
I believe, well, yes, I believe that's right. Yeah, 2020 was Dwayne. So, okay. So don't let me forget that when we get to the second readings there, Jeff.
Sure.
All right, is there,
I'll second it. Moeller.
okay, who, as I say, who made the motion to approve as amended? I heard Moeller second.
I thought Chuck did, maybe he didn't.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Chuck.
Maybe I just missed.
All right, Keller makes the motion, Moeller seconds, discussion on the amended agenda.
Yeah.
Hearing none, roll. Oh, yeah,
There's a typo on ordinance 2020-23. It says rodinance instead of ordinance.
I just caught that myself.
Yeah.
All right, so that should say ordinance. We'll add that to the amendments. And then we'll check and make sure that that's just a typo there, not actually on the ordinance.
It's not on the ordinance.
Okay,
It's not one.
all right. Any further amendments? All right. Hearing none, roll call.
Okay, Cosgray,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Hankinson,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
Mueller.
Yep.
All right, we have an agenda. First item is visitors. I don't think I've received any emails for public comment. Double checking real quick. Don't see any right now, so I'll check again at the end. So we'll go on to administration reports, my reports. We'll hit this a little bit in when we talk about ordinances 22 through 24. But I did a spreadsheet to break it down. Jeff and Brian took some information to the auditor's office to get us preliminary millage on it. And then I did a spreadsheet for home values between $100,000 and $200,000 so that when we talk about those ordinances, we can break it down into dollars and cents and what it actually means. Assuming that ordinances 2020 through 2022 through 2024, 2020-24, sorry, pass, we will need to set a special council meeting for later in the week. Tonight stuff gets everything going, but then we have to send stuff to the auditor. They have to certify information back. And then we have to have a meeting to pass a resolution to proceed. And it's that meeting that actually would put the issue on the ballot. The auditor knows this is coming, so we could probably get one that's scheduled as early as Wednesday night, but just to give them a couple extra days after we pass everything, I'll ask everybody if, a quick meeting Thursday night virtually via Zoom here will work. I can't imagine the meeting lasting more than 10 minutes. Initial estimate from the auditors. CARES money came back to us. We got approximately $24,000 in CARES money. Terry and I have been talking about additional areas for some use, and we've talked a lot about some additional IT upgrades that we've needed and haven't done, but working remotely are in dire need, such as a firewall and updated computer equipment. Included in that means we have to check and make sure the date will still be good. But if we can, that means we will finally purchase tablets for all of council so that we can move away from printing out paper and everybody can have a village issued tablet to get your email on and get all the paperwork that comes out via email. One of the other things Terry and I are talking about is moving our not just the mail server, but to a more centralized collaborative office suite that makes it easier to share documents and stuff back and forth. So as long as we can still spend money on COVID related expenses, it's only been 5 years since I wanted to get everybody tablets. It might actually happen here soon. I know Terry mentioned in service about the tabletop exercise that she did with staff. that got prompted kind of from a phone call from me to Terry. I have another municipality, actually two of them, that had some positive COVID tests on some staff members and some essential staff members. And even though those municipalities had run through some of their scenarios back in March and April, what happens if someone tests positive, there were still, I want to say, uh-oh moments when they said, we didn't think of that. So I called Terry and I said, hey, what happens if? The next thing I know, she had a staff meeting and they worked through some of those scenarios. So we have a better codified plan if someone tests positive, and it's written down, and we've at least done a tabletop exercise on it now. So let's see, last couple things. There was, I think it was last week, there was a lawsuit filed in Columbus against the city of Columbus regarding income tax collection. A number of outside payers from Columbus, they live outside of Columbus but work in Columbus and were working remotely, filed a suit against Columbus through the 1851 Constitution Center, arguing that because they were working remotely, they should not have to pay their 2.5% income tax to the city of Columbus because they were working at home, not in Columbus. I'm kind of keeping an eye on that, because if that argument were to succeed, I could foresee that trickling down. And what that would mean is why, you know, some of the plant stayed open and other processes stayed open. A lot of the teachers in the school district, which is, you know, one of our largest employers, a lot of them live outside of the district. And so if a ruling came down that income tax earned or collected from people working remotely couldn't be collected, that could affect our revenues. So I'm kind of keeping an eye on that, but it just got filed. So I don't know how quickly Franklin County courts will move that through.
So, Brad, I got a question for you on that.
Yeah.
I got a question. So if someone lives here, works in Columbus, but they don't take out Baltimore tax, because most municipalities do not. So will that just be that they don't have to pay the Columbus tax if they're working remotely? But they
Right,
still pay or what's the talking about on that?
Yeah, so that you're right. They wouldn't pay the Columbus tax. They're still responsible for the Baltimore tax because this is where they live.
Correct.
My issue with that is a lot of teachers and a lot of people that work at the plant, if it qualified as well, if they had a number of people working remotely, don't live in the village. And if that trickled down, that could be a hit to our revenues.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
So last thing I have, August 5th, a couple weeks, I'm going to be attending a virtual roundtable with Congressman Stivers. I haven't received an agenda yet, just an invitation that he wants to talk to mayors within the district. So I don't know what the topic is going to be, but that's August 5th. So at the next council meeting, I should have an update on that. That's all I got for tonight, unless anyone else has questions. All right, Terry, it's on to you.
Okay, great, thanks. I only have three topics tonight. The first one is the county is losing their AccuGlobe GIS. That is not going to be supported after December, so the whole county is looking to going to another platform. I have asked that Barb sit on that committee. Prior to Barb getting her degree, she did do an internship. I believe it was Violet Township, where she worked on GIS. So Barb is going to be our contact from the village for to be on that team. The second thing is that Friday the 31st will be our first OPWC Executive Committee. They have decided to go forward not knowing how much funding will be there for round 35. But on Friday, we're going to be talking methodology, how we'll be choosing the projects, and maybe coming soon, how much money will be available. So just to let you know, they're moving forward, even though there's some unknowns. My third and most important issue is this. last Thursday, Friday, our elevated water tower got hit with lightning. It was on Facebook in case anybody didn't see it, so it must have been quite the hit when it struck our lightning rod up there. It knocked out all the communications, burned up some of the elements inside. Mr. Little was on vacation. I had called him in to come and see what he could do for us. He got a hold of DJE finally. DJE sent out some parts today to us, thinking that this was the issue. Joey did install those parts, and while communications is somewhat back up, we fear that the analog and the PLC did get struck again. So Mr. Little has been in contact with the lightning install people that installed our equipment. They are supposed to be out this week to review and to analyze exactly what happened. So what does that mean? So what that means is we are still filling the elevated water tank. And a big thank you to the police department because they're keeping an eye on it. I say that because we had no communications with it. So there were times that the ground storage tank was pumping to the elevator tank and we overflowed a couple of times. Not a big deal. The bigger deal would have been if we didn't keep it full and when it ran dry, we would have lost pressure within the system and had issues. So Joey did talk to the engineer from DJE today. They are rushing us another part that they think might help fix the issue. So we're limping along, but there should be no noticeable issue with the water pressure, which is where it would be. And more to come on this. That's all I have to say about that. If you have some questions, I'll try to answer them. Is everybody there?
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah.
We're here.
Oh, all of a sudden got quiet. I thought I'm having my own meeting with myself.
Sure.
I was giving everybody a chance to, in case they had questions on the
Okay.
elevator.
I know that was a lot, but
Oh, Rick, your audio is acting up.
Yep, your volume or your speaker's bad or something.
Sorry.
Rick, you
All
can
right.
always text me with your questions and I can answer them that way.
Yeah, that'll work. At least for now. All right. Any other questions while we hopefully, and then Rick, if your audio comes back, we can always circle back as well. So.
I just don't have any comment. This is a new. I didn't know about it. Is that any better?
Your audio is terrible, Rick. We can't understand you.
Yeah.
Go back on the phone and I'm fighting technology problems.
All right. Hopefully Rick will reconnect via phone. All right. Until he does, Brian, you want to go ahead and give us an update when Rick comes back? We can circle back.
I really don't have anything, to tell you the truth. I mean, you've already talked about your spread, the upcoming ordinances and so forth, and you with the information. So, and you have the spreadsheet to update. So I really don't have anything.
All right. All right. So moving on, Jeff.
Just a couple of things. As the mayor has indicated, ordinances 2020-21 through 2020-23 all address the issue of the bond levy. If council has any interest whatsoever in submitting that issue to the voters, now is the time to do it from a cost standpoint, because it's a lot cheaper to put that on the ballot during a general election than it is in a primary election or even in a special election. And by way of example, I discussed this with the Board of Elections. The village of Lithopolis is doing a special election on the issue of whether or not voters would approve an increase in their income tax ordinance. And that is going to cost a minimum of $13,000 and could cost as much as $18,000 to the village for submitting that. The estimated cost of this issue is, and they couldn't give me specific figures because they don't know what all is going to be on the ballot for the November election, but they're estimating around $1,200 to $1,500 total for the village to put this on the agenda for the general election. Resolution 2020-24 is a standard resolution. Anytime we're moving forward with an annexation issue, we have to pass a resolution that's submitted to the county commissioners. And it just says, hey, here are the services we'll offer to this parcel when it's annexed to the village. So it's a standard piece of legislation. I would ask for council's consideration in passing that tonight, because I received an email message earlier today from the county commissioners saying they reviewed all of the updated maps and legal descriptions, and they're ready to set this for a hearing. And that hearing could take place as early as next week. So for that reason, we need to get this submitted so it's part of the record before the commissioners review all of the documents and vote on this. And that's all I have at this point.
Hey, Jeff, I have a quick question because my notes and we had a potentially duplicate ordinance number. When we did the amendment to the agenda, I did 22 through 24, thinking it was all the bond stuff. Chuck said he will sponsor all of that. I didn't realize that 21 to 23 was the bond stuff and 24 was the annexation.
Okay, so you're just correcting it for the record to show that 21 through 23 is the bond stuff and 24 is the resolution for the annexation.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, that's fine, and I stand corrected too. I may have summarized that incorrectly. So ordinances 2020-21 through 2020-23 all deal with the bond issue, and then resolution 2020-24 is the resolution for the annexation, the 2.156 parcel, 6 acre parcel. So.
The mayor, we need to amend that and have a sponsor for that one, for the 24?
Yeah, we do sponsor for it.
Yeah, will you sponsor 24?
Yeah, I will.
All right.
Jeff, there's all three of them, ordinance 21, 22, 23. They need to be passed tonight too also, don't they?
They do, Chuck, because we're time crunched on that. The deadline
okay. Well, I didn't see you mention that, but I thought we did too. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, and they all include emergency ordinance. The reason for that is because next week is the deadline for submitting that to the board of elections. So, yeah, and I believe it's August the 5th, Chuck, is the deadline. So that's the reason we're in a crunch situation. So.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Anything else for Jeff? All right. Moving on.
Yeah, actually, I do have one thing, Mayor.
Yeah.
The ordinance, the resolution 2020-20. Is that one there? Since we're going the other route, is that one? Do we just need to vote it down, or do we need to still pass that?
No, I think that one can be one that gets moved to adopt and then not seconded, so it can be defeated, or move to adopt it and everybody vote against it, but we don't.
Okay, and that's what I thought.
Dwayne, it's rendered obsolete because of the other ordinances now. So.
Okay. So gotcha.
All right. Council committee reports. Timing. Oh, wait, sorry. Hold on. Before we go back, Rick, is your audio back? Rick, I just saw you mute. All right, Rick, when you come back, we'll.
Nope, his audio is not nice.
All right. We'll come back to Rick in a minute, hopefully. All right, Finance Committee.
Okay, I guess our next meeting is August the 10th at 6 o'clock.
All right. And Service.
Okay, we did meet tonight. I think pretty much everybody was there. Terry just went through all the reports. The only thing is we're talking about the pool repairs, and those are some things she's working on because she'd rather have a contractor come in and do it. That way, it's in and out, done. So that's one of the things she's doing right now. Other than that, really nothing else. Our next will be August 24th, 6 o'clock.
All right. Safety.
We went through everything tonight, Mayor, with everyone present, and our next one also will be August the 24th at 6:45, I think it is.
All right, except we do have to have a discussion regarding what to set the fine at. There was the motion to bring that to council, and so we can discuss briefly. I mean, most of council was on the safety meeting. But what do we want to set the fine at for trucks going across the Water Street Bridge?
Correct. I turned my papers over too fast.
Yep. So, I mean, obviously my vote is the 250 plus costs, but Chuck and Bob, you guys wanted something a little lower.
What is it currently?
I don't know the exact amount currently, but a standard waiverable ticket, which is what that would be somewhere between a $20 and a $25 fine. And with court costs, that usually puts the total at about $120 to $130. So if we went to a $250 fine, you're looking at adding about $80 or so in costs. So at $250, you'd be looking at about $320 to $350. If we went lower, we just got to add the $80 to $100 onto it.
I'd say we make it to where with the court cost and all that, make it about to where it comes out to about $200 or $250 or $225 or whatever. And then if that doesn't seem to deal with it, then we look at going higher than that. But from what I was hearing you say, it doesn't seem like we have a lot of repeats. So maybe the word is getting passed and we're talking about this for no reason. But I mean, I'd say we set it to where maybe the court costs come out to where with the ticket and all that, $200. I mean, if that's everybody, if everybody's fine with leaving it where it is, leave it where it is. But I know we talked about doing it just to kind of not really be mean, but it was more or less to get the word across, so that we don't have these incidents. Because I did Google it, a route, and it takes me down 158, down Water Street, but then it shows it Xing across the bridge. So but it didn't bring me in the other way. And so, but everybody's GPS is different. So it could pull it up different ways depending on where you're coming from too. So, sometimes you got to hit them where the wall it is. But on the other thing, if it's someone that, we got a lot of out-of-towners. So we also want to think about that too.
Well, I think we need to increase.
$200.
I think we need to increase it. Is the amount? How much do we want to increase it? Do we want to go to 200 or 300? Like the mayor said, 300. Is that kind of hitting their pocket too hard? And two, just make sure that they do understand we mean business. So.
Well, my look on that is if it's a repeat offender, then it's well worth hitting them in the pocket because they just don't care. If it's a once in a blue moon thing, yeah, come on. I mean, I understand that, but it doesn't sound like we have the repeat.
So if we follow the escalating fine and set an initial fine at $100 plus court costs, it's going to get them somewhere between $180 and $200 or so dollars. And then for a second offense, you can jump to $250. And then for a third offense or more, skip to $500 or something like that.
yeah, I mean, I'm fine with that. And then, and if you got one that's doing it more and more and more than that, then yeah, we do need to make it. We need to hit them hard, because until you hit someone hard, they're not. Some of them don't care. You know, it just depends. Now, I'm not a truck driver, but you know, I would care. You know, when you're eating into my living, you know how they work hard to make what they make. You know, and you hate that. You hate the person too bad, but you also got to get the impact of the damage too financially into the day also.
What about Chuck, Bob? Does that sound good with you?
That sounds a lot better. The $100 plus the court costs, and then raise it up if it's a repeat offender.
So we would go $100 on a first offense, $250 on a second offense within a year, and $500 on a third or subsequent offense within a year, plus any court costs.
Plus court, yeah.
That's
I'll
okay.
make a motion that we change to 100, 250, and 500. First time 100, second 250, third time 500, and more. Anytime over 3 times within a calendar year.
And
I'll
this
second that, Hankerson.
All right. Motion and a second. And discussion? Just
a comment. Violet Township, when they enacted through their home rule power recently, restrictions of truck traffic on a number of side roads, they imposed, they have the authority to impose fines up to $1,000. So, and again, it's because of damage from the big trucks to all of the township roads. So
yeah, in safety, Jeff, I actually pulled the Violet Township ordinance. They start at 250 and then 500, and then go up to 1,000 for a third offense or more.
Okay.
So, any other discussion on that?
Now, I got one thing. I just remembered. Now, when they had the trash trucks go down the alley, do we have a separate ordinance for that? When they tear up an alley?
No, Chuck, I cannot find an ordinance. Barb and I both have looked. There is no ordinance about not allowing trash trucks down alleys.
Okay, I think that's something we need to talk about in the future, don't you think?
Terry, let me check my records on that. That sounds vaguely familiar.
We did something several years ago about that.
Well, both Barb and I looked and we couldn't find anything, so that'd be great, Jeff.
Yeah, I remember it being discussed. My recollection is that council passed something that restricted that. I'll check my record.
Okay, all right, we both looked.
I'm almost sure we did. My tracks used to be set out in the alley, and they would back up the alley and get it. But then we changed that to where everything had to be out. We did not allow garbage trucks on the alleys anymore.
Well, we're going to have to talk about that because all of the businesses do have their trash hoppers in the alleyway. So we'll have to have a conversation. But Jeff, if you could find that, that'd be great. Thank you.
Sure.
And I think only affected residential, not commercial, because commercial you can't really do anything about that because that's where their dumpsters are, is in the rear.
Gotcha.
So is that something we want to add to? Well, why don't we see what Jeff comes up with, and then if we find the legislation, we can go forward. If not, we can add it to service and safety. They're on the same night because it tears up the roads and it's a safety thing. So.
Okay.
All right. There was a motion discussion. Any more discussion? All right. On the motion to set the fines at $100 for a first offense, $250 for a second, and $500 for a third or subsequent within a year for trucks going down the no through trucks roads. Roll call.
Cosgray,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Hankerson,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
All right, so 6-0, we'll have more opportunity to discuss that because Jeff will have to draw us up legislation that, unless we think it's an emergency, we'll let go 3 readings. So we'll start that at the next council meeting. Rick, before I go on.
Is my audio working?
You much better.
Okay.
So you had a question, I think for Terry when we were back up on her stuff.
Don't remember what that was.
All right. Well, if it comes to you, let us know. We'll circle back.
We'll revisit.
All right. Rules Committee.
Okay, our next meeting is August the 10th, and the last time we had a meeting, we talked about vehicles on, about a license, whatnot, ordinance 2019. That went to safety tonight, and there will be the second reading tonight.
All right. Moving on. Chief, police reports.
Thanks, Mayor. Okay. We can report that one of the cases we had talked about, it's been several months ago, involving a 73-year-old man who was involved with gross sexual imposition on a young child. We did get him charged. He was indicted, and a plea was taken. He's been sentenced to 2 consecutive sentences of 3 years in prison for gross sexual imposition. And the little girl is obviously getting counseling and moving forward with that. So we're real happy to get that taken care of for that family. Currently, we have a rape case involving a 13-year-old female and an adult male. We've just completed all the interviews on that. Our BCI evidence has come back, and we forwarded everything to the prosecutor, so that'll be going to the next grand jury. Served a warrant on a person that, believe it or not, we had actually charged him 4 years ago out of a residential theft where a large quantity of drugs was taken. He was arrested in Marion on unrelated charges, and we sent a car up. He was released to them. He's now in Fairfield County Jail on our charges and also probation violation. So, had a stolen 2019 Chevrolet Yukon, entered that into leads. We're currently investigating a theft of about $8,000 by computer fraud. The victim went on a job site, thought she was applying for a job. They sent her 2 checks supposedly to purchase office equipment so she could work from home. She then paid for the equipment with 2 personal checks, and shortly after discovered that the checks sent to her were fraudulent. That's an ongoing investigation, but unfortunately it looks like it's going to be offshore. We had a vehicle pursuit that came out of a stalking case, an ongoing stalking case. Our officer was able to positively identify the driver of the car, and at that time he called off the pursuit for safety reasons, and requested that units go to his address, which was in Bremen. Shortly thereafter, he arrived, was arrested, and is now in jail on quite a few different charges. And that's kind of the highlights of what we've had since our last meeting.
Hey, Chief, I have a question. What was you saying you had some damage to number 2 unit? What happened to it?
That's been from several weeks ago. We had one of the officers was backing the car up, and there's for some reason somebody had a metal pole in the ground that they had cut off, and where it was located you couldn't see it. He was trying to turn around, and he creased the side of the car. So we had that repaired. When they repainted that, they had to take off one of the emergency 911 labels. So we just got that replaced and put on.
Okay, where this happened at, did that piece that they hit, did it get removed so it doesn't happen again by accident?
As far as I know, that was requested. It was brought to the attention of of the business owner that was an issue. And my understanding from them was they were going to either cut it off at ground level, or they were going to clean the debris around it and paint it bright orange, one or the other.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions for Chief? All right. Hearing none. Dwayne, Fire Board.
We haven't met since the last meeting because we met early, in the month of July for the budget hearing stuff. So we haven't met since then. So our next meeting is not till August 20th at station 610 to 6:30.
All right. Moving on, planning and zoning. We haven't had a meeting for a while. We've got a couple variances. One of them we have to get a hearing on, but it's been hard to find a place to schedule it. So Terry and I have been communicating. We're going to have on the variance request that has financial implications, we're going to have a Zoom meeting, public hearing for it. What we are doing is the meeting has been set up. All of the neighbors that would normally get the mail notice to attend the meeting receive the meeting information and invite to join the meeting, phone numbers to call in, as well as the link and information if they want to join via video. And then we'll get posted on the website if there's anybody in the public that wants to potentially give comment during that hearing, to contact the village office to get the phone number, call in, or the meeting information so that we can have at least the meeting on the variance that has potential financial implications. So that will be at the August date, which is August the 13th. So hopefully it goes well. Tree Commission.
We had at our last meeting, we had identified 4 different areas in town where we had got complaints about the trees either dying or they were dead. So we asked Steve to go out and review those. I just received his report back today, and we'll be reviewing that to see what part of that is the village responsibility and getting bids to remove them.
Now, a question on that, Terry.
Yes.
We talked at the last meeting about some of the, I think they were the apple trees or something along the
pears.
The pears. Are the healthy pear trees potentially being removed, or is it just the dead ones?
Just the dead ones are those that are showing signs of stress.
Okay.
We're not going to remove a healthy tree, but when we do remove it and replace it, definitely won't be a pear tree. So, but
Okay.
These are trees that are along, like when you come in on North Main Street there in the corner of Huntworth and Main. That one is pretty much not healthy. That probably needs to be removed. So I'll be reviewing that with staff, and then we'll be getting some estimates, and then also sending letters to any that are on residents' property. And we are doing all of our meetings via WebEx too. So next one will be in 2 weeks.
All right.
Yep.
Anybody else have anything for Tree Commission? All right. Hearing nothing. Records Commission is still on hold until we can get into the office and look at stuff. So yeah. Motions. Anybody have any motions at this time? Hearing none. All right. Here we go. Ordinances, resolutions, first reading. Ordinance 2020-21. This is an ordinance requesting the fiscal officer to certify the maximum maturity of bonds in the declaration of an emergency. Sponsor is Keller, and I'm sure, Chuck, if you need help on this, Jeff will be able to pinch hit.
Well, Mayor, I'll just say this. We've talked about this at the last meeting about putting a bond on for, the to help the village. We got 3 ordinance tonight which all coincide with the bond for the election this coming November. I'll just go ahead and we got to get this done. I'm going to make a motion that we bypass the 3 reading rule on ordinance 2020-21.
Second that. Foreman seconds that.
Foreman seconds. No discussion on suspended 3 reading. Roll call.
Cosgray,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Hankinson,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
Mueller.
I think Dwayne said yes, but he's muted.
Yes, sorry about that. I was doing something, I muted it, sorry.
Yep, you're fine. I saw you saying yes, but couldn't hear you. So, all right, 6-0. Chuck, 3 readings suspended.
Okay, Mayor, I'll make move the motion that we adopt ordinance 2020-21.
Cosgray seconds.
All right, motion and second to adopt this one. We'll say discussion. I'll note for the record on this one that this one and the next one are just some preliminary ordinances required to be able to get it on there. This one just has Brian certifying some records. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Cosgray,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Hankinson,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
Mueller.
Yes,
All right, 2020-21 will be adopted. Moving on to ordinance 2020-22, and in an ordinance declaring the necessity of issuing bonds, submitting the question to the electors of the village, and the declaration of an emergency.
Okay, Mayor, I'm the sponsor again on 2020-22. I want to move that we bypass the 3 reading rule on 2020-22.
Cosgray second.
Okay.
All right, motion and second. Roll call on suspending 3 readings.
Cosgray,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Hankinson,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
Mueller.
yes,
All right, 3 readings suspended.
Okay, I move to adopt ordinance 2020-22.
Cosgray second.
All right. Discussion on this one, and I'll open it up. This is the one where we want to answer the question, since this is the one declaring the necessity about the details of it. It was submitted. It'll be submitting to the auditors to give us the millage for $17 million over 30 years, estimating the bond rate to be at about 3%. That is based on bond counsel's recent bonds he's been working on, as well as the auditor having done one recently. Brian was able to get some information to the auditor preliminarily to give them a heads up this was coming. Jeff was also able to get them some information so that we could have a general idea what we are talking about. And their estimate to do $17 million over 30 years at 3% would come back at 13.9 mils. What that means is for a $100,000 home, it would be $486.50 per year added onto the property tax bill. I did a spreadsheet for property values incrementing by $5,000 between $100,000 and $200,000 in case anybody had questions about where that would put us. For instance, my home, the auditor, I just checked it today, lists it at a little under $150,000 of property value. So that would be an increase for me of about $720 per year, which breaks down to about an additional $60 per month to pay the property tax. One of the benefits I think we have of it, and you know, assuming this passes and we pass the resolution and then we go to get it out to the voters, as I was talking with Rick offline, intend to do some town hall meetings on it to explain and show the chart what exactly it is. And one of the benefits we have of this is it's 30 years and our life expectancy of the pipes will be at least 50 years. So we will get a return on investment. It's a long-term fix for as Rick put it, a long-term fix for a very long-term problem. So like I said, I've got the spreadsheet. So if you guys have estimated, you know, want to know about what it would be at for a certain rate, just let me know and I'll let you know real quick.
So I'm just saying, if I listened to what you said earlier on. So if I'm just saying on a $185,000 house, it's going to run you about $900 more a year. Dividing that out, comes $85.
Yep, that is correct. About $900 a year extra on a $185,000 house.
Okay, and then the other question, I know that I was reading through all this, the Just More stuff, and reading all the stuff. Is this, if I read it right, does this mean this is something that if it passes, we can immediately start doing all of it?
So, yeah,
if it have to wait for certain money to build up. Like, if we've got a project, we want to do this section to start moving forward with all of it now, or is it something we still have to wait for revenue to come in before we start sections? I just want to make sure I read that right.
I believe, and Jeff can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe, yes, because once we pass the issuance of bonds, the bonds will be issued and sold. We can start working on this. Of course, we can't do $17 million of work in 1 year, but we can begin the preliminary engineering, you know, work on, you know, the Basel side that we know is working, and then figure out the plan to do the rest of it. But if it passes November 5th, on November 6th, I think Terry is safe to begin talking with the engineering firms about what we do to get moving, so that in the spring we can break ground on the first water line replacement.
Well, and my biggest thing is, you know, as much Facebook, whatever you want to call it, social media, hitting that we've been taking, you know, I'm curious to see people's aspects and thought process. You know, they want us to fix it, so we're planning on fixing it, but I want to see what people say when here's the cost, and here's what it costs to do it. So, you know, there's going to be people out there that think we should take the whole hit, which that doesn't work that way. But, you know, I'm just curious to see how those town hall meetings and the acceptance goes.
Yeah, you know, when I originally at the last meeting had the two different plans and said that I wasn't planning on doing much advertising because it was kind of one to gauge where people were at. And since we made the decision to just go for it, I know, like I said, I'm going to put the spreadsheet up on the website and social media, and plan on having a couple of town hall meetings to be able to talk about it. And like Rick and I were talking, I think a great example will be taking the pipe that we have that's a 2-inch pipe that has so much buildup, it's barely a dime size, and then showing a cross cut of the 8-inch pipe that we want to replace it with, so that people can have a visual that this is what it's going to go from and what it's going to go to.
Yeah, we need to simplify the narrative. I mean, it's you know, pass issue X for clean water. I mean, they want clean water and we want to give them clean water, but these pipes were installed 100 years ago, and it's the operating revenue can't change them. It's a long-term investment on a long-term problem, and rates are better than they've ever been. If we don't fix it now, when and how will we ever? So
that I totally agree, and I think that's what the public has to understand. You know, life expectancy of a water main back even 7 years ago was not even
is bad now.
The new stuff, yeah, you're probably saying 50, but you're probably going to get. You hear me? I'm good. Just keep moving forward.
You're good now.
Yep. You're cutting in and out, but we got most of that.
Yeah, the main thing is good education and understand it. You want it fixed, here's what we got to do to do it. And it's better for us to do it all at one time if we can do it. And then instead of piecemealing it for the next 50 years.
Exactly. And Rick, I like your idea. Keep it simple. Here's what we have. Here's what we want to go to. You know, and then there's the visual of the lines.
Yeah.
So
I mean, yeah, we got to keep it simple. People don't understand millages and
Nope.
cost per 100,000. You can get into that. You'll be in those weeds all day long and you'll never make any progress. Just vote yes on issue X for clean water, because that's what we're trying to give you.
Yep.
It's a long-term problem, and this is the least expensive way and time to fix it.
Yep. So, all right. Other questions or discussion on this one? Again, this is the meat and bones ordinance that will require the auditor to certify what that millage would be back to us. All right, hearing no more discussion, roll call.
Cosgray,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Hankinson,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
Mueller.
Yeah.
All right, 6-0, 2020-22 will be adopted. Moving on, ordinance 2020-23. This is an ordinance retaining bond attorneys in connection with the proceedings to submit this to the electors of the village in the declaration of an emergency.
Yeah, Mayor, this is just giving you this attorney, I forget what, the bond attorney to set this up. So I move that we bypass the 3 reading rule on 2020-23.
I'll second that.
Hamilton second. All right, roll call.
Cosgray,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Hankinson,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
Mueller.
Yes.
All right, 3 readings suspended.
Okay, I move that ordinance 2020-23 be adopted.
I'll second it again.
All right, discussion on this one.
Mayor, I will add that Dennis Schwally is not unknown in the village. He's done a lot of work for the village as bond counsel on different projects over the years. So he's very knowledgeable about the entire process and what needs to be done. And for council's benefit, I mean, some of the forms that he's created are forms that if they're omitted, even accidentally, it can result in a rejection of the documentation. And when we're time crunched, that's a real problem. So he's a super nice guy, very knowledgeable, and he'll do a good job for the village.
Can I add something, Mayor?
Yeah.
I retain them every year to do, every year, because we have some existing bonds now. We have to do some kind of a filing with the SEC, and they send me an email every year, and I send in some financial information, and they do the filings for us every year.
Cool. So not only does he have existing stuff with us, they help us regularly. So it's good to know. Any other discussion? All right, roll call.
Cosgray,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Hankinson,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
and Mueller.
Yes.
All right, 6-0, 2020-23 will be adopted. When we get down to new business, we'll talk about a special council meeting later this week to pass the next piece of legislation we'll need for that. Moving on to 2020-24, which is a resolution indicating what services the village will provide to a tract totaling 2.156 plus or minus acres upon annexation and the declaration of an emergency. Sponsor on this one is Mueller.
Okay, and just kind of testing with Jeff, this is the south of town, correct?
I didn't hear what you said, Dwayne. Sorry.
Yeah, this is for the parcel south of town.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is for the part of the I can't think of the name of the
Hammer.
property owner. Yeah. Yeah. The
Yeah.
Hammer property, just south of Baltimore, south of the school there. So with that being said, we all talked about this a lot. I would like to suspend the 3 reading rule and declare this an emergency.
Cosgray, second.
All right, roll call.
Cosgray,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Atkinson,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
Mueller.
Yes.
All right, 3 readings suspended.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we adopt resolution 2020-24.
Cosgray, second.
All right, discussion on this one.
Do you have any idea when they're going to get started on this?
Well, the owner, soon to be future owner of the parcel, Chuck, is chomping at the bit to get started on construction, but he understands that the annexation process has to be finalized, and that looks like it's going to be done here soon. But I'm going to discuss with him the possibility of the owner signing off on an agreement to annex so that the village can start the process of extending utilities, water and sewer. So the owner to be is hoping to be under roof and open for business by the end of this year.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Nothing like a quick timeline, right?
Yeah, very quick. So.
So the village isn't expanding the utilities, right? The owner is?
Well, the owner, it's at the owner's expense, but the village would be extending village utilities
Right.
to that
Okay.
parcel. Yeah.
Trying to clarify there. Yes, that we.
Yeah,
we
it's at the owner's expense, so.
Right. Oversee the extension and approve them and then adopt them. Yes. Okay. Just clarifying there.
All right, further discussion on this one. Hearing none, roll call.
Cosgray,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Atkinson,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
Mueller.
Yes.
All right, 6-0, 2020-24 will be adopted. Going on to second readings, ordinance 2020-19, an ordinance amending chapter 446.03 of the Baltimore Codified Ordinances, Traffic Code, Code Enforcement Prohibited Operations to prohibit vehicle traffic in village parks and in other village property. Sponsor on this one is, it's not listed on the agenda, but I believe we said it is Keller.
Yeah, I was on the first reading last meeting. It's been to 2 committees. It's been the park committee. I mean, everybody's in favor of it, so I don't know if you want to pass it tonight or not. I'll go to the 3rd reading, but everybody's in agreement with it that's been through the committee and everything.
Unless Terry has
Go
something,
ahead, Mayor.
I don't think this one hurts to let it go to a 3rd reading.
Nope, I'm good.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll leave this one on for a 3rd reading for August 11th, I believe will be the next meeting. So, and then we have ordinance 2020-20, which is an ordinance.
It's a resolution, Mayor.
Oh, it's a resolution.
Yes.
Declaring the necessity to submit to the electors to the village at the general election an ordinance to issue bonds for construction and repair, etc. This one is superseded by the ones we just passed.
Yes, Mayor, and I would be asking that we that everybody takes into consideration that we either one lack of a second or we vote it down.
I think the simplest route is just for somebody to make a motion to adopt, nobody seconded, and then just note in the records that it dies for lack of a second, and then it's off the agenda.
Okay, so Mayor, I would like to make that motion to adopt.
I think we need a motion to suspend 3 readings first.
Yeah, a motion to suspend 3 readings, sorry, yes.
All right.
Cosgray, second.
All right, motion second. Roll call.
Cosgray,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Atkinson,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
Moeller,
I think Dwayne froze.
To make the motion. Really, you hear me?
There he goes. Dwayne's back. Yep.
All
All right.
right. I'm in a different time area, so that's probably a lapse. So I make a motion that would adopt resolution 2020-20.
All right. There is a motion to adopt 2020-20. Do I hear a second? Going twice. Do I hear a second? Going 3 times. Do I hear a second? All right. If no one seconds this one by the end of the meeting tonight, it will be defeated as not being seconded. All right. Moving on then. No third readings. Is there any old business? All right. In new business then, we need to set a special meeting because once we get a certified millage from the auditor, we have to have a resolution to proceed. They know it's coming. I would anticipate we'll have it probably, well, let me ask, Jeff, did you get the ordinances to the village office?
I did. They're in your mailbox with stickers all over the place on where you need to sign, where Brian needs to sign, and they're ready for you guys to sign off on, make copies, and hand deliver them to the county auditor.
All right. So I will go in and sign those tomorrow morning at 6:30. And so Brian can get them to the auditor tomorrow since they know it's coming. We would probably be okay to have a meeting Wednesday night if that works best for everybody. But I think giving an extra day just in case, if everybody could do Thursday night, I was thinking maybe 6 o'clock. Like I said, I don't anticipate the meeting being more than 10 minutes unless the auditor comes back and says the millage is astronomically higher than their original projection to us. So does Thursday, the 30th at 6 p.m. work for everyone? And Brian has to have that resolution to the auditor's office by, I want to say next Tuesday at 4 p.m. So that gives him 2 days to get it down there.
I'm good for Thursday.
Yeah, Cosgray, good.
Foreman, good.
Hamilton's good.
Atkinson's good.
Moeller, maybe.
Bowler, maybe. Mike, you good? 'Cause
I'm good.
As long as you got 5, we're good. But if I can be available, I will.
all right, we'll let you know because we'll need all 5 since it'll be emergency. So we'll have it, we'll set, and Terry will send notice tomorrow, special council meeting on the 30th at 6 p.m. Regarding emergency legislation. Any other new business? All right, hearing none, let me see if I received any visitor email. Doesn't look like any's come in yet, unless you all want to hear about spam mail I get. So anybody have any last call? If not, our next meeting will be the second Monday in August, August 10th at 7:30. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, that was Moeller on the motion, Hamilton on the second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed, speak up. Hearing none, meeting adjourned at 8:40. Barb, I'll let you know when the recording uploads, and I will go in first thing tomorrow morning, Brian, and sign those ordinances for the bonds so that you can get them to the auditor.
Yep.
Everyone have a good evening.
I'm sorry, one final thing. Brian, are you still there?
Yeah.
I'm also going to have for you guys a signature, that resolution for the annexation. If you could, and I put a note on there that for you to deliver a certified copy of that to the county commissioners tomorrow. Okay.
Okay, but is that already in the mailbox too?
That's not, but it will be by tomorrow morning. So,
Oh, okay.
okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Thank you.